we were sitting around this barbecue and I was having this delicious salad and I was like, oh, who made this?
Oh, no, here we go.
Yeah, I'm really doing it. And he goes, I did. I said, what's in it? And he's like, yeah, I mean, it's got chicken, vegetables.
Okay.
I was like, it tastes like duck. And he's like, no, chicken marinade.
Hello and welcome to Separate Bathrooms. We would like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of this land, and pay our respects to the elders both past and present. My name's Ali Dado.
And very beautiful.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much.
I'm her husband, Cameron
Wow.
Dado.
Wow, what a compliment. Straight out of the gate.
Straight out of the gate. And today we're visited by a couple of adventurers. They've just completed a 5,000-mile journey from Nashville, Tennessee to Los Angeles in an RV with their kids, just like us.
Just like it. Not quite as far, but yeah, they went a lot longer than we did.
Yeah, they went via towns steeped in musical history from Memphis to New Orleans to Luckenbach, which is, that's in a song, Luckenbach, Texas. I can't remember who the artist is. I'll have
Never
to look
heard of
that
it.
up. They went to Vegas, playing shows off the beaten track.
Australian Idol fans. You might remember Wes Carr. He won the whole thing in 2008 and had instant success with the single You and his album The Way of the World. And of course, rugby league fans loved him with the Feel It commercial, which was in 2011.
It's a great ad too. I
Yeah.
had a look at that. It's great. I met Wes in Los Angeles a year or so after that, and he was making a go of his fortune, keeping the momentum flowing. Now we are over a decade removed from that time. Wes still has dreams that he's backing up with action. He's writing, performing, evolving, and releasing beautiful new work.
Mm-hmm. He's a dedicated family man with a fabulous, gorgeous wife called Charlotte, 2 boys. So we want to find out what's life like for a career musician.
What's life like on the road to musical salvation?
There's no guarantees, but if you don't want to have a go, you'll never know.
That's right. Let's have a chat with Wesley Dean and his wife, Charlotte. Welcome, Wes and Charlotte, into the bathroom. You guys, great to have you with us, but you're not really with us. Where are you?
We're in Nashville. Yeah, very happy to be here. In between, we've got the fern in the background as well too. So very Zach Galifianakis or whatever his name is.
Zach Galifianakis.
That's it.
Galifianakis.
It's his version of Between Two Ferns.
Galifianakis. Well, thanks for joining us. It's probably almost witching hour for you and the kids, isn't it? Isn't it sort of coming up to pre-dinner time? And
Alison, I just left them. I have a friend, a really great mate that lives around the corner, and there's a really beautiful pond not far away. So
Well
they're feeding ducks
done.
down at Centennial Park. We have 2 very loud boys. So I was like, you know what? Some things we can and can't do in the house, and this is probably why.
Yeah, and feeding ducks inside the house isn't probably a very good idea either.
planned.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. No ducks in the house.
What's life like in the country musical capital of the world, Nashville?
This place is incredible. It's the capital of music, I'd say, recorded music in the world, I'd say now. It's a studio on every corner. And I've had the great pleasure of working with some of the greatest musicians that are alive on earth here the last 3 years. We've actually been here for 3 years this week. So
Yeah.
it's been a roller coaster of all sorts of different emotions of moving countries in COVID, which was like the craziest thing I guess we've ever done, getting on a plane and moving it in 2021 at the height of COVID. But then getting here and it's just been, you know, I feel like I've lived 100 lives since we got here, just navigating my way through a whole different culture, a whole different scene, rebuilding my career, my music career again and starting all over again. But it's super inspiring and it's kind of, you know, I like a challenge. So it's been pretty awesome, especially for the creativity. You know, I've written 2 albums since I've been here and yeah, I'm very blessed. Very, very, very lucky to be here.
Charlotte, what about you?
It's been, for me,
Yeah.
it's been massive. I've definitely observed that entire situation.
Yeah.
It has been really rocky in terms of when you made the decision, we sold our house to and we made a choice of going all in on our dreams and just putting the boys on a plane, knowing that we weren't really sure when we were going to return and what that looked like for the boys, and leaving family at such a kind of like tumultuous time in the world. And then also
they were 2 and 7 at the time.
Yeah.
So.
And we had a really, with you guys when you would have moved over to America as well, like things were pretty good for us when we left.
Yeah.
Like I had a great voice career in Australia. I was voicing for all the networks down home in Australia and doing some, really fabulous work. And there was a few things going on for me that made me really want to do it, because I had all these things, but I kind of felt a bit bored. Like I had this feeling like there was something that we had to do, and we had to do it as a family, and it was going to be this thing. But I thought it was going to be a little
Smooth sailing.
Smooth sailing when we arrived. And it certainly didn't feel like that for me. Like it's taken me a minute to find my people, to get the boys kind of into schools. And there's all those sort of things that I've been, and it's not just been a me thing. Wes has been at every drop off with me and pick up, and we've just been in it together because it was sink or swim. And it's taken a minute. Like I feel like now I'm like, oh, this is going to be the most fun experience, but it certainly hasn't come with its massive obstacles for us.
Yeah, of course. You've probably heard this a million times over. We were told this over and over again, that it takes 2 years to really begin to feel like you know the place that you're in. So you're in your third, you've got 3 years under the belt now. So that kind of makes sense in that way, that like probably the last sort of 6 months to a year might have felt a little bit more like, okay, now I know where we go for good food. We know where we can go, the parks are, the zoo, or whatever it is.
Totally.
But especially as a mum, like you've got to find all of that. I know, Wes, you said you're really involved, but it's such a big upheaval. And my gosh, you've done it in the middle of COVID. Had you already had it planned anyway?
Well, I had this opportunity. I met somebody at the Coolum Beach Croquet Club and this person knew somebody in LA, and he loved my music, and I was just getting back into music again. I'd had many years off of just kind of being on the beach and raising our firstborn Willow, and just kind of like, I don't know whether I'm doing music anymore. Like, what am I doing? It's sort of like, but for me, it just felt right at the time, felt right for us. This was the end of 2019. And so we went through the processes of going through getting visas and the whole thing, and moving across to America to then to start again, I guess, in 2020. And then COVID hit in March, and we were grounded, and it was like, what do we do now? And it was a sort of kind of transitional time.
We pulled the kids out of school, so we'd started the homeschooling before even the homeschooling began.
Yeah, we were definitely before our time with that, I guess.
And we had everything kind of either given out to friends and family, and we'd kind of given our furniture to people. And so we were really in limbo, just kind of waiting to kind of like...
Yeah. And then we had to sign a stat declaration to the Aussie government to say that we were leaving at the time we did. Borders were still closed. I had everything set up in America. We got to America, and then certain things fell through. There was a few dodgy characters, I guess. And then all of a sudden plans changed very drastically within the first few months of being here, but we couldn't really go home. We were like in America, and it was like, okay, well, here we go again. And I had it was full on. And then we were in Nashville, and it was like, well, let's make this a thing. Let's make lemonade. And for me, it was like, well, I have to follow this thing through. I have to show my boys, especially my firstborn, who was 7 at the time, that challenges appear in life, and you have to just sort of follow through with your word. And we've been through a lot before in our relationship, our life. Being in the spotlight there for a little minute. The first few months that we knew each other, we were both on telly. It was, and we had to figure out who we were as people at the time, and we grew up. We grew together, I think, in a relationship. And so that all prepared us for what we had in 2021 when we got here and things fell through. Then I met another character who was possibly worse. That was like bad. The tidal wave of like, I thought I was onto a winner, and then boom, got me again, and that was worse.
Is this person like a manager or something like that? It was a
manager, two managers,
right.
But brutal stuff too, like not not just, they took a bit more of a percentage, like kind of steal your album from you kind of business.
It was psychological.
It was full on.
I'd done enough work to realise that we can survive all through this. And so, we definitely went there, very much so. And there was all sorts of obstacles. I mean, on the week of release of my first record here, I perforated my eardrum. And so I couldn't hear out of my ear for 18 months. And so therefore all the tours went away and all the things that I just kind of got back on my feet, then boom, there comes another tidal wave, and then that exposed the whole manager thing. And so all the things that happened to us along the way were actually kind of blessings. Yeah. But we didn't know it at the time because we wouldn't really be sitting here and talking about it like this if that didn't happen. So it does. Everything makes sense at the end of it, I think.
Thank heavens.
I'm sure when you guys met, like when Ali and I met 30-odd years ago, you just don't know what's coming around the corner, and that's the beauty of things.
Yeah.
It is so beautiful, isn't it? The naivety of it.
Just for some context, how long have you guys been together? How did you meet?
Oh man.
Should I tell my version?
You go.
So we were at a barbecue in Sydney. We shared a dear mutual friend, and I had lived with this particular person for quite some time. She'd also lived with Wes at a separate time, and she used to play him a lot in the house that we were living at in Hastings. Is it Hastings Parade in Bondi Beach? And she would play his music, and I was like, who's this? Like, because I knew Lior and I knew a few of these guys that were playing around town. And she's like, oh, it's Wes. I can't believe you don't know Wes. I'm like, no, I actually don't know Wes. And I rock up to this barbecue. I was there with someone else, and I run up the steps, and Susie's like, oh, this is Wes. And I was like, oh, you're Wes. And we got chatting, and
infamous.
And so we were sitting around this barbecue, and I was having this delicious salad, and I was like, oh, who made this?
Oh no, here we go.
Yeah, I'm really doing it. And he goes, I did. And I said, oh, amazing. Kind of impressed as well, because it was delicious.
He cooks. He sings. He cooks.
Yeah, there was a few little things going on for me. I was like, that's nice. And he's like, I said, what's in it? And he's like, yeah, I mean, it's got chicken, vegetables. Okay. I was like, it tastes like duck. And he's like, no, chicken marinated. And I was like, okay. Anyway, so we play out this time at this barbecue, and he's drinking a 2-liter bottle of Coke or something. And I'm like,
bad.
I just started looking after you from the beginning. I was like, get that out of your hand. That's ridiculous. And he said, what do you do? And at the time I was just working on a show, and I said, I go to the gym, and I'm on this show. And he's like, great. I'm so glad that you're going to the gym, because I'm actually a personal trainer, and I've just come back from LA, and I'd love to go to the gym with you, and I'd love to.
So bad.
It does. It really does.
What was Dude doing? Who you bought that day? He was like, where is Charlotte? She's over there talking to caveman Wes,
Well, like we were just like in the friendship zone kind of vibe as well. Anyway, it's in your 20s. Yeah. Everyone's kind of.
Okay. So what year was this?
2008.
2008. It was February 2008.
Yeah.
Around this time, actually, possibly this week again. And
it was last month, wasn't
look,
it? Yeah.
I got to tell some context to that, because that really exposes me. I was standing on the steps. She comes up like this radiant angel with these pearly white teeth. And I was working in a bar at the time. I was playing gigs every night of the week, and then working at the bar. And I was just like, and then going to the gym. I have no idea why I was going to the gym. I think I was just trying to get fit and
you were
undo.
Obsessed.
And there she was, and I just went, wow, how do I get to know this person? What is going on here? I couldn't believe it. And then as I was overhearing, she liked cooking, she went to the gym and all. Oh, okay, well, there's the salad. Yeah, I made that salad, thinking nothing of it, but realised that, I just bought it 20 minutes ago. But I just needed to get this conversation going, because I was so I wasn't a very good conversation starter. I was quite awkward and still am. and quite shy and all the things. So I was just, I don't know, I was attempting everything. I had all my cards on the table that day.
He's inviting me to the gym that night. Like I get back and he's like, okay, so we've got the gym tomorrow. I'd love to train you. I'll meet you outside. What time are you going?
Oh, it's such a bad. Stop saying that.
He was there. He was there in his Dark Side of the Moon t-shirt, like skin and bone, looking like an absolute rocker, waiting for me at 6 o'clock with my favorite coffee. And we never have we been apart since.
Only when I go on the road or whatever, but we never really are apart at all. We're an amazing team ever since that day. Really, it's been. It's been a huge life together. We've traveled the world. I feel like we've done a lot together and grown as humans and grown up together, really.
Yeah. And I love telling the story because I really set you up. But it was even though it was accessed through a different way, Wes wanted to be with me in whatever capacity it took. And I didn't really necessarily want any of it. But it just kept showing up and kept being with me and was my friend first and foremost. And then like it just developed into this other incredible like love. I went and he annoyed me a lot. Like we had this competitive like training at the gym. It had this banter and this laughter. Like he used to make me laugh till I'd fall over on the street. And I just loved it. Like I almost get this like dopamine rush, but I also saw a lot of myself in Wes and a lot of, I think Wes had the same experience with me. And I remember going away with my brother and complaining about this like personal trainer friend of mine. And he goes, he listened to me and he said, I just remember you talking like this about the love of your life when you were 5. And I sort of looked at him and I was like, I don't love Wes. And then I went to bed that night and I was like, oh my God, I just love him. Like I love him in a way that I'd never known in a way. Like I don't even know how to explain it, but I let him into a place that I'd never allowed anyone into. And I'm so thankful that we had that friendship first and that we had that time together to sort of really be playful and learn about each other and love each other, because it was not very long after being together that he decided to audition for Idol, and that was just really weird.
Right.
And the way he showed up for me that very first day is the way he showed up in our relationship with our children, because also if you hadn't have, we wouldn't have survived this absolute roller coaster that we've been on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know about the whole soulmate thing, but I certainly know that I can definitely bring myself to Wes and say, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm thinking. I don't think there's anything that's off the cards.
Worst case scenario game's a good one.
Oh, we play that all the time.
Do you know that one, the worst case scenario game, where it's literally just madness? It's madness. You just say, I think that whatever the worst case scenario is at the time, and you just say it, and then it's out. And then, there's so many things that we've taught each other, I think, is the greatest thing about us, is that we teach each other every day and we show up for each other every day. And God bless my mum and dad. They're incredible people, but they split up when I was really young. I was 12, 13. And I remember thinking, that's not my story. I see how they learnt and they grew from that experience, and now they're both incredible human beings. But I do believe that, like, if you just hang on through those times where it's like, it feels like the impossible.
It's like there's got to be someone always on the court. Like if one of us is just there and the other one's not, like we either have to grow in that space that's taking more of that weight. I'm quite mindful to say I'm not really clear on this right now, or I need this right now, or with the whole mum thing in terms of when you
with the whole mum thing. The whole mum thing is quite a big thing.
But when you who's doing what roles when things are so busy? It's a really big one, you don't have
a lot of handballing going on.
Yeah.
My 5-year-old been teaching Jackson how to play cricket at the moment in America, which is something, he's got the southern accent because he's 2. So he's grown up in America the last 3 years, spent more time in America than in Australia. And he's got the southern accent and the whole thing, and he cannot believe cricket. He's like,
it's the best.
Where has this sport been all my life? This is what I want to do, because he's
wow.
So it's amazing. Like I've got the whole neighbourhood out here, all the boys in the neighbourhood. We've got a lot of kids in the neighbourhood playing cricket on the street out
It's
here.
really cool. It's really good.
So all the dads come out like, what's going on here?
What is this game, man?
What is this game? Yeah, it's baseball.
Can you watch it over there?
Yeah, there's some things, and there's also they
YouTube
play.
TV.
I don't know, Alison, your kids are probably a bit too old, but they play cricket on Bluey, you know, the
Sure,
Australian
sure.
animation, and so Jackson got a little taste of it on that, and a lot of the kids are like, "That's that game on that TV show."
Yeah.
Is that important for you guys to continue the Aussie culture with them?
Yeah.
AFL, AFL's has always played a big part of my life, growing up in Adelaide, and it's important for the boys to sort of grow up with that Aussie culture as well, being over here, and sometimes it can feel a little isolated, a little long way from home, like we are.
Yeah.
Some days, it's a little bit like, can't wait for Australia to wake up. I just need to call my mum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you know that Australia's up, you have kind of comfort in it in the first few years because you're like, oh, my people are now kind of awake.
We made a real conscious decision when we had our kids that we were going to attempt to raise them in the most Australian way in Los Angeles as possible, and whatever that meant. We actually found a place that sold meat pies.
Yep.
What else did we do? It was beach days. We never really did the big send them away to camp. We kept them home and
Yeah, well, because you know how they love to do summer camp because summer holidays go on forever in America. So
Yeah.
beach days
Yeah.
and naps and lots of art and
Exactly.
I don't know. We did it as much nature-based stuff as possible, and
That's kind of what we try and
what
do
we
as
do.
well.
what was the impetus, guys, to move over there? Because, Wes, you and I got together in Los Angeles in like 2011 or something. It was after Australian Idol. And then what drove you to want to move to Nashville?
I think it was 2010 because I came over here to Nashville and I worked with a bunch of songwriters that I'm still very good friends with. I saw you in the back of a limo at LA. We had a great chat. I remember it
right.
fondly. And then we went home. I went home to Australia. I was living in Sydney at the time. Our firstborn, sorry.
Thanks, because I did
yes,
it.
you did all the
I
work.
mean,
Sorry.
you contributed,
Well, a little
but
She did all the heavy lifting, mate.
I know.
certainly did.
There's going to be a lot of letters, isn't there? 2012, Willow was born, our firstborn. Scorpio Dragon came out talking full sentences, basically came out, born 21. He's an amazing person. I learn everything from him every day. He's an incredible kid. There was a lot of, for me, from that period of 2010 to 2015, 16, I did a lot of, soul searching. I truly went there.
You went to India.
I went to India.
You did.
I
you
did a lot of
name
things.
it.
We moved out of Sydney. We went to the Sunshine Coast with our best friends. We moved up 6 months apart from each other. We went up there and thought we would be there. Thought that was we'll build a life there. So I would do voiceovers and I would do a tour every year of some capacity, and
That was
I
good.
did musical theatre. I did a whole bunch of things. It was sort of make it up as you go along for a long period of time whilst raising our firstborn. And then our secondborn was born in 2018, Jackson Cash. Named him before we even thought we were going to be in Tennessee, and it's the most Tennessee name you've ever heard, Jackson Cash Carr.
yeah.
And so he came along 2018, and that would seriously, it was just we were living the Sunshine Coast life.
Look, I've got another version. He's an absolute, you are so, you make decisions just out of nowhere. Now we're doing this and this is a great idea. And it's just, you are like that. 1 minute he's songwriting and he's like, that's all I'm doing. And now he's like, now I'm going on this tour and now we're going here. And this looks like, so it's been a little bit loving Wes is a little bit just hold on to the reins, let him go when he needs to go. And
I'm a
very
roller
like
coaster.
that.
I'm a roller coaster.
It is a roller coaster.
Yeah,
But he just, I remember you came in one day and he went, that was something else. Yep, there's something else. And I was like, funny you say that because I've been a little bored. Everything's amazing. Everything's in place. And when two crazy people get together, they come up with this concept.
Yep.
None of it made sense. But I obviously wanted the thrill as well because I was like,
That came about 2019.
But music was pouring out of you. It just wouldn't stop. It was a relentless download, and he was just writing and writing and writing. And you just also started seeing results in the States. That your numbers were going up. You could see where they were listening.
I have this dread of, you know, that whole saying of dying with the music still in you. And I think it's possibly one of my worst fears of not fulfilling kind of everything that we can possibly do in life. But I had to really work out what that was. And, you know, when I saw you last, Cameron, I was wrestling with like this public persona that I didn't really kind of understand or really know how to harness. And what does it mean for me, you know? And I didn't really want to be remembered as this kind of one-hit wonder sort of version of myself. And I had to go away to work out who I really was as a person in order to come back strong with something that I really, really meant.
Your album's called Crazy Hearts, released in April. The new single...
To be released in April.
Yeah, to be released in April.
It's coming out, right?
Yeah. And the single is Gunslinger, and it's about toxic masculinity. Is that correct?
Yeah. There'd been a shooting in Nashville at a school up the road from our place, 7 minutes up the road from our place. And that really, really rattled us because we had our babies at school just down the road from that school, and they targeted a Christian community. It was something that I think was my worst fear coming over. That always had, you know, that being Australian, like it seems to happen a lot here, you know. For me, that was really hard to take, and it was just so sad and so just awful. It really haunted me. It was 7 minutes up the road. I Googled it. So the song kind of poured out of me, but then it became this metaphor for like this thing that exists in a lot of industries. I can only speak for the music industry, but kind of like boys club thing that happens. And without going into details, I've been up against a bit of that, like the last sort of 15 years or so, of trying to navigate my way through an industry that's very highly competitive, but also you really want to stay integral to who you are and whatever. And I know that that's worse for maybe a woman in any kind of capacity, where this toxic masculinity that comes up in all sorts of sort of scenarios. So the song means a lot to me. It also is a personal look into my life where there's a certain cycle that happens through families and what's passed down, and things are passed down through the generations, and it takes one person to change that. And you've got to be really brave to change that, to stand up to somebody like your old man, like somebody like your dad, or, you know, to say, no, I'm not going to be that. I'm not going to be the person that you want me to be or whatever. And we released it in Australia because we had a song here called Don't Look Back, which is also the story of Shah and I, and anybody who's kind of...
It's really romantic compared to... It's a totally
juxtaposition
to the Gunslinger, but it's like... It's getting a lovely life over in America.
And
I heard it the other day when we were driving around Nashville. It was on the radio.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's some beautiful things are happening for Wes.
So we released that, and then somebody in Australia has picked that one up.
Yeah, it got picked up in Australia without us taking it to radio, which is lovely.
So we've got two songs going off in Australia at the moment, which is awesome. We've got Gunslinger and Don't Look Back going at the same time, and they're totally different songs and mean totally different things, but yeah, it's just great to know that like my music is resonating with people and that Australia still loves me.
Mate, it's so good. I saw the video. I'm sure I saw a Joshua tree up there in the video of Gunslinger. It's like tapping into this Chris Stapleton, Steve Earle, one of my favourite players and singers and songwriters. And Aussies love that gritty country Americana rock and roll. So, look, we wish you so much fortune. You guys,
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder about this because you're talking about being thrill riders and thrill seekers, and you've been smashed by some waves, and sometimes those sort of things do kind of bring out the best in us, our resilience, and you guys really have had your fair share of that quite clearly. We do a 2-minute shower. Being from a desert community now in Nashville and Texas and all that, going all through there, we want to conserve water. So keep your answers short. We want you to both answer the same question.
Okay.
At the same time?
No, we need to hear it, so we're not talking over each other.
Very competitive.
What's the quirkiest or most endearing habit that you've discovered about each other or love about each other?
The quirky habit that you have.
Wes watches his sleep at night. Wakes up in the morning, he sees how his sleep is, what temperature his skin is, if he's gone into an REM sleep or what that looks like, and then accordingly plans his entire day.
That's a new thing. That's a brand new thing.
That's adorable.
I do. I check my
That's
sleep.
a quirk.
Sleep is important. I get it.
Yeah. Oh, Shah has a weighted blanket that's about 25,000 kilos, and I hate it. And so she puts it on her in bed, and I
travel with it on tour, like it's 25 kilos.
And I nearly pull my shoulder out every night because I'm trying to rip the blanket over me. Anyway, it's a whole
should be
story.
called a mental illness blanket.
All right. What the world needs more of is
Love,
and transparency, honesty, and a little bit of kindness wouldn't go astray. Yeah.
Same.
Is there one moment that you would like to revisit in your life?
I would like to revisit myself just after the birth of our firstborn and just say it's all going to be okay.
Oh, yeah.
Our wedding night was pretty good.
Aww.
Yeah.
That's really lovely.
That night was great.
There you go. All right. Last question, guys. One word to describe each other.
So much, but strong and...
One word.
Okay, strong. Just strong. I know it's simple, but that's the big one for me. I can't believe it.
Mine's creative for Wes, or artist. It's a different level of being with someone that has this capacity to create and make. It's a thrill. It's one of the true blessings of my life is to be watching it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for your time. We're so thrilled for the both of you. I mean, just to hear your journey and to hear where you're at today, it couldn't happen to a nicer couple. So we just wish you all the best, and we can't wait to hear all the new music that's going to be coming out of Nashville from Wes with the support of you, Charlotte. It's beautiful.
Can I just say, Alison, very big fan. Can I? You on the front cover of my magazines when I was growing up, breathtaking beauty. You're also beautiful, Cameron.
That's very kind.
We're very honoured to be on your show. Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you.
Excellent, guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
Do you relate to a lot of what Wes and Charlotte were talking about?
There was so much. There was so much I wanted to be like, I get, and I did, and exactly, I know what you mean. What about? Yeah, so much. Yeah. So much. I'm glad that they feel welcomed and settled now because, that's tumultuous what they've clearly been through and been taken for a ride. And,
I'm sure they would have learned a lot.
Yeah,
as a result, they'll be wiser and
closer because of it as well.
Yeah, and all that resilience factor and all those things.
Yeah, and obviously the amount of love they have for each other because that could have torn some couples apart, and yet it's just made them closer than ever.
Yeah, and I love the fact that they're playing cricket on the street and doing things like that.
They'll introduce all the good Aussie stuff.
Yeah, the Wes. Well, you know him as Wes Carr, but now he's Wes Dean.
Yep.
Which was his middle name. When he was in trouble, his mum said Wesley Dean.
Yeah.
So now he's Wesley Dean. Wes Dean. His the new album's Crazy Hearts. It's out in April, and the song Gunslinger, which I loved. It's fantastic. So we'll put those things in the notes as well. So it's well worth the listen.
Yeah. Thanks so much for joining us.
We'll catch up with you next time on Separate Bathrooms.
Bye.